In today's video, I'm going to discuss the top 10 comedians working today. Keep in mind that this is my opinion and that I'm highly biased, but I'll be sharing why I love these comedians, what I appreciated most about their performances when I saw them live, and sharing a few clips I think you all will like as well. So if all that sounds interesting to you, then let's go ahead and hop right into it. First off, starting at number 10, we have Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is an absolute killer on and off the stage. He can't walk anywhere without maiming everybody violently because he is just such a fucking murderer up there. No one crushes that comedy butt pussy harder than Joe Rogan. Nah, I'm just kidding, guys. Joe Rogan is nowhere near number 10, and we skipped over our honorable mention. Let's proceed. Starting off at our honorable mention, we have my close personal friend Nick Mullen. Also, I'm gay. No, but seriously, Nick Mullen is super funny. I saw him live a couple years ago, and his stand-up really exceeded my expectations. A lot of podcast comedians are great as a podcaster, but their stand-up isn't quite as good. Nick Mullen did not fit this mold. He was just as good on stage as he was on a podcast. He did some classic bits from Cumtown, but he also had some written material I had never heard him do before that was really, really good. Then a year and a half later, he released Year of the Dragon on YouTube, which is easily one of my favorite YouTube comedy specials that I've seen. Now, a bulk of that material he did in this special was identical to the set I saw in my hometown, but it was all just as great as when I saw it live. So Nick is a funny stand-up comic, but what makes him such an enigma to me is how effortlessly funny he has always been. I found out about him through Cumtown, but I really respect that he only does comedy and podcasts when he feels like it now, but how when he decides to do it and put his heart into it, he's undeniably hilarious. I'll show you a snippet of one of my favorite Cumtown bits of all time.
I'll tell you, here we are at the Bethlehem Steel Stacks. And you know, a lot of people used to work here and they can't anymore because I'm gay.
What?
Sorry. I didn't mean that.
I didn't mean the last part. That's just what is always constantly running through my head.
I get confused and I think I'm gay. Sometimes.
Who amongst us has not considered himself to be a homosexual from time to time?
Every single member of this country has had gay thoughts.
This full clip might be the funniest bit in podcasting history, if that's even a thing. I think Nick is criminally underrated, but that's only because he doesn't feel the need to keep chasing the dragon of success repeatedly. And I can respect a guy that has enough. Check out Year of the Dragon if you haven't seen it, but all these reasons and more is why I wanted to list Nick Mullen as an honorable mention. Now let's hop into the top 10 list. At number 10, we have Big Jay Oakerson. Now, I just saw Big Jay Oakerson live last week, and I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised at how great he was on stage. I mean, I knew he was easily the funniest comedian of the Legion of Skanks trio, but I had no idea just how funny he was because I had never seen him live and only seen him on podcasts. I was really shocked at just how naturally funny he was and how strong his stage presence was. I know Shane has that roast joke about how if Big Jay Oakerson wrote more jokes, he would take over the stand-up comedy universe.
For real though, I do love you. And I care about you, and it bothers me that Lewis and Dave's careers are catching up to yours. It's time to write a joke, dude. One.
But I really believe that after seeing him live. Everyone talks about Matt Rife, Stavros Halkias, and Andrew Schultz as good crowd work comedians, but after seeing Big Jay Oakerson live, I must say he's easily the best crowd work comedian I've ever seen, and a lot of people would probably say he's one of, if not the best working comedian when it comes to doing crowd work. Jay isn't coming at you when he does crowd work. His down-to-earth delivery puts people in the crowd at ease and allows him to tear down their walls brick by brick until he gets deep into you. Pause. A lot of people talk about how some crowd work comedians have a shallow approach when they try to get to know the audience, but Big Jay Oakerson could not be further from this because of the way he gets to know anybody and everybody who is willing to talk with him. Then once you give him an inch, he takes a mile in a likable, slick way and riffs on the audience members' answers. He also uses this to parlay himself into some written or prepared material, and it all comes off just so fucking natural. You can just tell Big Jay has been working at this shit a while because whether he works hard or not, he has the result of somebody who has worked diligently at crowd work and improv for decades. This is a bit of Big Jay's I saw on his YouTube channel that perfectly demonstrates exactly what I'm talking about with his ability to do crowd work and how he interacts with the audience.
The others got arrested.
Oh, really? Everyone else you've been with is in jail? But a bunch of them. You've been in the bad boys. So now you're going for short sleeve Hawaiian shirt guys. He's got to deal with all your battle scars now. A fucking snake tattoo above your snatch that says Roy. Who the fuck is Roy? I was young. Oh, you got radiation. You had cancer. Oh, they tattoo you for that? Really? She pulled through cancer. Now she needs big dick. You deserve big dick. Maybe when he comes back, I'll try to convince him to let black guys fuck you while he watches or something. Oh, you didn't know him when you had cancer? Oh, so he doesn't even get the hung in with you through cancer fucking credit. That guy's in prison, the one you'll always love.
I love Big J. Okerson, and on top of how funny he is, he's also such a chill guy to meet in person. If you get the chance to see Big J live, please take it and tell me about your experience watching him, and leave a comment if you've seen him already with what you thought. This is why I put Big J. Okerson at number 10. At number 9, we have Anthony Jeselnik. Anthony is often considered the surgical master of misdirection and dark one-liners, and I put him at number 9 given his incredibly robust use of the pen in his comedy routine. Some people may find Jeselnik's style a little tiring to watch and call him a one-trick pony given his heavy reliance on writing, but I do think he's the best in the world at this style of comedy, because Anthony's act is a lot more than just telling dark jokes with a surprising punchline. What separates him is he actually leans into his antagonism on stage. He tells you a great joke, then he tags it with another over-the-top joke about how he's better and smarter than you in every way. His arrogant self-praise itself is also funny because he knows the type of jokes he writes and leans extra hard into it with his character he has built for himself on stage. Where some comics would pivot their act if an audience doesn't get them, Anthony doubles, triples, and quadruples down, and he always has throughout his entire career. This approach to comedy led to Anthony bombing a lot early on in his stand-up career, but once he did the roast of Donald Trump and people saw how great his dark comedy was, then the people who loved that humor all started following and supporting Anthony. Once he found his audience, these bombs would slowly happen less and less because Anthony solidified his reputation as a comedian with a unique edge, and he was grandfathered into the comedy zeitgeist. Also, how could I forget Anthony's writing? He studied English literature in college, and I believe this helped Anthony develop an appreciation for brevity in writing. Then when he wrote for Jimmy Fallon, he put in his hours and hours of writing jokes constantly. So the passion for writing combined with his countless repetitions as a late-night television writer led to him being pound for pound, joke for joke, one of the best comedy writers to ever live. Here's a few of my favorite jokes of Anthony Jeselnik's.
Whenever I meet a pretty girl, the first thing that I look for is intelligence. Because if she doesn't have that, then she's mine. I'm starting to think that my new brother-in-law has been beating my sister lately. Now, I haven't seen any bruises, I don't have any proof. But I went over there for dinner last weekend, and her cooking has gotten much better. My cousin has gotten so many DUIs that he had to go to jail for a year. Now, his only concern was getting raped. So he didn't take a shower for the entire year because he was so busy getting raped.
I also love Anthony's Norm Macdonald story, and if you want to learn more about the interaction between those two, you can check out this video right here. All in all, this is why I ranked Anthony as the 9th best comedian working today.
I close my eyes and seize it. I press my fist and breathe it. I light my torch and
At number 8, we have Jeffrey Osmus. I saw Jeffrey Osmus at my home comedy club earlier this year in January, and I got to do some videography for him, and I was really excited to see him do stand-up and work with him. My friends told me how funny he was, but I really didn't believe it until I saw it. When he went on stage, it was only a few minutes into his set before I was absolutely dumbfounded and floored at just how goddamn funny this dude was. Every joke was just so well written and well thought out, I couldn't wrap my head around how much of a comedic powerhouse he was. The distance from premise to punchline for each joke was excellent, so you didn't have to wait long before you were laughing. If you haven't seen any of his stand-up, I'll show you one of my favorite jokes of his right now.
You guys think people get offended too easily these days? Yeah, okay, keep that in mind during this next one. It doesn't make sense that conservatives don't like abortion. You're gonna love this, it's so funny. You think conservatives would love abortion, right? It's such a conservative thing. Abortion's just dead liberals. We're not aborting farmers and electricians, dude. It's just piles of music theater majors. Like, oh, grow up. It's an abortion joke. They can't. Can't grow up. Pretty funny. Pretty good. Already crushing. You already got your money's worth.
This joke is just fucking brilliant. You should totally subscribe to his channel and turn on notifications because he's releasing some of the best stand-up comedy content and clips right now. He writes so many new jokes that he could probably follow the Louis C.K. blueprint and release a new hour every single year if he wanted to. He also has a Don't Tell comedy special that is absolutely worth your time if you have some available. He also released a special this year that I believe is titled 65 Minutes of Great Comedy, and it's all in one take. No cuts, no multiple nights to make the perfect special, just unfiltered stand-up comedy for over an hour where every joke cuts deep and makes you think differently about whatever the topic is. Jeffrey is a great example of how great of a comedian you can be with the pressure and grittiness of a city like New York City pressing down on you and forcing you to exert the most out of yourself as an artist. I seriously don't know how he hasn't exploded in popularity yet. A lot of comedians talk about how they make fun of everyone and how everyone can get these jokes, but Jeff actually fucking delivers on that. He actually targets everyone and makes it funny almost every time. Here's another joke I'll leave you with that's just outstanding.
Going home for Christmas tomorrow, going back to the Midwest, the good part of the country, and my family's all like farmers and well drillers. My family lives in like the type of small town that still thinks Dippin' Dots are the ice cream of the future, you know? They're like, if the Democrats gave us Dippin' Dots, we wouldn't need fentanyl. Oh, we love mocking middle America, don't we, New York? Don't we? They're so fucking stupid, aren't they? They also grow all your food, don't they, you little fuckers, don't they? You little soft-handed liberal scum. You'd bleed if you looked at a shovel, you little cunts, wouldn't you? You don't do a single useful thing for the planet, you little fuckers, isn't that true? You'd die in a day without Republicans, wouldn't you? Yeah. You can't eat a podcast, can you? Yeah. No protein in slam poetry, is there? Yeah. I don't agree with Republicans, but good luck finding a woke plumber. Good luck finding a 50-year-old guy with his ass hanging out who's like, free Britney.
Jeffrey Osmus, if he continues going and working the way he is, could easily become one of the greatest comedians of all time. And I'm not kidding or exaggerating when I say that. He's that talented and he works really hard. Jeff gets a strong vouch for me, and that's why I ranked him at number 8 on my list. At number 7, we have Mark Normand. I meant to say Kevin Hart. No, but seriously, I think Mark Normand is fantastic. I put him in the top 10 for best joke writers doing stand-up comedy today. There's so many instances where Mark has displayed genius levels of comedy writing, it's almost hard to pick a favorite moment for me. One of my favorite jokes is this old one he's done for a while.
I had a guy say to me once, hey Mark, you like gays so much, but what if you had a gay son? I wouldn't mind having a gay son. Having a gay son's like finding a French fry in your onion rings. You know, you're like, well, it's not what I expected, but I like these too. I just got an email from a hot gay guy. This hot gay guy emailed me, gorgeous gay man, smoking hot. What a bummer I'm not gay. This guy's a 10, all right? A hot gay guy having a crush on you, it's kind of like finding 1,000,000 pesos. You know, you're like, well, I can't do much about this now, but once I cross that line, I'll be set.
Just a classic Mark Normand bit. I'd almost say that Sam Morril shares this spot on the list with Mark Normand because they're both such strong comedians. Similar to Jeffrey Osmus, Mark is a New York City comedian who has spent the last decade sharpening up his comedic arsenal and showing how far being a good writer can take you. He also has a very unique, almost cartoon-like delivery and voice when he says things like, comedy, we're really doing it, folks. He reminds me of Norman Seinfeld a lot, and maybe that's why I have such an affinity for his style. Every time I've seen Mark Normand work, it's really interesting because you get to see the gears turn in his head when he's developing new material, and he's also quick as a whip when he gets heckled or is doing crowd work. I've seen him at the Stand in New York City, the Comedy Cellar, and even at my home comedy club, and seeing him navigate through all these different environments for comedy, and also the amount of new jokes he develops on Twitter, Instagram, and on stage is a really remarkable thing. Then seeing him riff with Shane on Protect Our Parks, with Matan Evan on his podcast, and many other comedy podcasts is always a treat to listen to. He's also just a world-class individual to talk to and hang out with. I'd recommend seeing him if you get the chance to watch him live. Easily one of the better comedians working today, and even though Shane teases his delivery and zingers and calls him a comedy autist, that's the style that makes his core fan base and comedy fans everywhere love the dude. So all of this and more is why I ranked Mark Normand number 7 of the best comedians working today. Jack Reacher.
Pardon my reach, and reach over, he goes, Jack Reacher. he says it, dude. It's crazy.
I don't know what else to say. I got nothing else to say.
You don't have to say anything.
At number 6, we have Sebastian Maniscalco. Sebastian has consistently been in the top 10 grossing comedians for the last few years when he's actively working. Now, this isn't to say a lot of money automatically equates to talent, but considering the fact he didn't build a following while relying on his podcast or social media content, I'd say that his ability to garner a large audience while mainly focusing on stand-up is fantastic. To some people, he may be a little safe or mainstream for their taste, but for me, I really think his physical comedy is stupendous and his writing really complements his stage presence and delivery perfectly. Sebastian is someone you could take your whole family to see, or someone you could just watch by yourself after a long day of work, and that's pretty damn cool. As much as I love comedians like Big J. Okerson or Anthony Jeselnik, they're a little bit more niche with the type of people who enjoy their comedy, whereas Sebastian is a heavy hitter for just about any demographic who is willing to give him a chance. I think everyone can watch his comedy and take something away from it. This is why he consistently sells out arenas across the country and is regularly appearing on late night television. He's made a couple bad movies in the last few years, but if you're gonna be famous, why not make a couple bad movies, eh? Sebastian participated in the Riyadh Comedy Festival, but unlike other comedians, he wasn't called out the way they were because he has never made being politically sanctimonious a part of his comedic identity, and I believe he's performed over there before, so it isn't really a huge mark against him the way it was for other comedians. Take that with a grain of salt, but I know he's performed in other countries, and Saudi Arabia might have been one of them. Less and less comedians today are focused on being funny, but Sebastian has kept his eyes on the prize and has continued to hone the craft of comedy even decades later since he started. And whether you appreciate his comedy or not, you have to respect that. One of my favorite bits of his was his bit about the grocery store.
Went to the grocery store. Always a problem at the grocery store. Always something going on in my line, right? Always in the back, I'm like, what are they doing? Who's still paying in check? Then the whole line sees it. Because it's just not the checkbook. Things go with the checkbook, right? Glasses always come on.
So solid, man. Doing all of this while being clean is outstanding. I also loved his bit about Chipotle.
Love Chipotle. They make a really nice burrito over there. It's so terrific. The employees can't stop eating it. Ever walk in there, you're like, where are the workers? The only guy behind there is the guy cutting chicken, just looking at you. And nobody talks to the Chipotle people. There's no conversation that happens. They listen to the same shit 8 hours a day, right? Steak, beans, cheese, go on. And the employees, and God forbid if you ask for guacamole, oh my God. The whole store goes into a panic attack. They don't even know how to tell you it's extra money, right? You're like, put some guac on that? It's $1.80 extra? Is that okay? Yeah, it's okay.
These are just a couple bits from Sebastian I absolutely adored, and I'll see him live anytime he's in my town. All of this and more is why I rank Sebastian as number 6 on my list. At number 5, we have Shane Gillis. Now, it goes without saying that we've all watched Shane blow up over the last few years, and it's certainly been cool as somebody who got to meet him really early on. I saw him at my home club and was blown away at just how hilarious he was. And he did the Live in Austin set list before he taped the special, and it was really amazing to watch it. Seeing Shane in an arena is probably cool, but seeing him at a comedy club is just fucking electric. If you ever have the chance to see him live, you really need to take it. Shane dons this very likable aura on stage, and he uses it when talking about pretty incendiary topics and navigates them masterfully, the way other professionals like Louis C.K. or Doug Stanhope do. Seeing Shane be able to broach any subject is a treat because he always shows empathy and has a unique angle on the topic. It was crazy to hear about Shane getting fired from Saturday Night Live years ago, but most people who had seen him do stand-up live knew this would be a very brief setback and that Shane was going to blow the fuck up in no time because he was legitimately funny and did not need NBC to thrive. Then to see him after all of that release 2 amazing comedy specials specials, have a third one on the way, and then host Saturday Night Live twice after the fact was just bonkers. Even though the SNL studio audience wasn't his type of crowd, he had fun and did his thing anyway, the way a comedian should. What was even cooler about Shane to me was when he performed at my home club, he did a whole weekend. Then on Sunday after his shows, he stayed to do the open mic and went last. And while he was hanging out at the bar, he treated every young comedian, including myself, with the utmost respect and kindness, even though he had absolutely nothing to gain from any of us. He also went up on stage at the end and did some old 9/11 jokes, and it was just awesome to watch. He also talked with me for a while and told me his Norm Macdonald story, and that was just the cherry on top of everything else. All in all, Shane is number 5 on the list because he's a young comedian who has put in his time and paid his dues, while also having a talent for being super personable on stage and in conversation as seen on podcasts. I think he's going to break Louis C.K.'s record for most consecutive number of sellout shows at Madison Square Garden, and it's well deserved because he's worked hard and been super nice to everybody along the way. Well, except that fucking loser Seth Simons. But this is why Shane Gillis is number 5 on my list. At number 4, we have Nate Bargatze. Nate Bargatze might be the king of clean comedy right now. For all the reasons I listed for why Sebastian is so great, Nate Bargatze does all of that and more. Nate was the highest grossing comedian in 2024, and I have a hunch that he and Shane Gillis will be battling for the number 1 spot this year. Nate shows that you can be incredibly clean and also still have a unique edge to your comedy. I recently saw him live and knew immediately as soon as the show was over, I had to put him on my list. He has this really goofy, dry delivery that really suits his writing style, and it makes sense why he has hosted Saturday Night Live multiple times, because he really can work any audience in the world. I mean, seriously, this dude could go to Skankfest and destroy, or he could do a church set in front of the Pope and get a standing ovation. That takes an insane level of cleanliness and talent to be able to pull off, and I always have an appreciation for good, clean comedians. In my previous top 10 video where I listed my top 10 greatest comedians of all time, I put Jerry Seinfeld at number 9 for this same reason, but I think Nate is even better at marketing to all sorts of different demographics because of how much more down-to-earth and likable he is. Seinfeld definitely has a unique style of comedy, but to a lot of people he can come off quite smug and full of himself, and that's why someone like Nate is so much more likable. Not to shit on Seinfeld, but I just think Nate is more personable. And plus he has the same name as me, so what the fuck, how could I not love the dude? The bit I saw of Nate's that originally put him on my radar came from this Comedy Central clip where he talks about seeing your wife's ex-boyfriend.
I'm married and stuff. This is what marriage feels like, by the way, what it feels like in here. Right now, it's just one person talking, the other's like, I'm gonna get out of here. We went out on the lake with some of our friends, and we were like floating around the water, and there was a guy in a boat like right next to us, and my wife was like, oh, that's my ex-boyfriend in that boat. I didn't know who he was, so she didn't have to say that at all, you know? She was just basically like, you having fun? Because I like to put a stop to that. My friends were like, you should have went and tried to fight him. Why didn't you go fight him? And I was like, well, I would have had to swim over to that fight. So I don't know how intimidating that is for a guy to see a head in a life jacket floating his way.
Once I saw a few jokes from this, I was so surprised at how funny Nate was while covering topics that everybody could relate to. A more personal reason I love Nate is because he's my grandma's favorite comedian, and I love getting to watch stand-up with her because that can be difficult for me. I love darker comedy too, but my grandma has a very hard time watching comedians if they curse or if they're dirty, so Nate is the perfect bridge for my grandma and I to watch stand-up together, and that to me is very special. Nate works really hard and shows the importance and strength of clean comedy, and also his earnings goes to show just how much more money you can make as a comedian if you have the ability to be funny while still being TV friendly. When talking about great comedians working today, Nate Bargatze is a no-brainer, which is why I put him at number 4 on my list. At number 3, we have Doug Stanhope. I heard Nick Mullins say one time that Doug Stanhope is the greatest argument for stand-up comedy being an art form, and I could not agree more with that statement. Doug is a drunk animal, and we all love him for it. I just did an episode about Doug's episode in the TV show Louie that was a really powerful dialogue on self-harm and depression that you should totally check out if you want to see my breakdown on that episode, but as a comedian, Doug is the full package. He's deeply honest, incredibly smart, undeniably funny, and he has a relentless fairness that he brings to each and every topic he covers. He talks about very polarizing issues like politics, gender, war, religion, and more, and his social commentary is beyond biting. However, Doug has a way of holding your hand and walking you through his perspective in a way that is so funny the entire time because the lack of fucks he has to give. One of the best bits I've ever heard from Doug was from his legendary comedy special Deadbeat Hero, where he talks about marriage and why it's silly to get the government involved in your love life.
The arguments don't mad at, the gays should not get married. It's going to ruin families. Well, we have every right. Marriage should not be a legal institution. That's the argument you should be having, that no one will... The government should have no place in your love life. That should not be a legal institution. It shouldn't exist. If marriage didn't exist, would you invent it? Would you go, baby, this shit we got together, it's so good, we gotta get the government in on this shit. We can't just share this commitment between us. We need judges and lawyers involved. If I'm gonna be that privy to your most intimate details, I'd rather just watch you fuck. That's a wedding.
The observations here are spot on, and funny the entire bit. You catch yourself laughing hysterically while also agreeing that Doug is completely right. He has done this on numerous occasions, and it never fails to make you think deeper. Another bit of his I love is his bit about sex and how unbelievably boring it can be, and how much time men waste seeking it when they're younger.
Have you ever fucked before? It's not bad. It's free fun for poor people. This is how fucking ends every single time it comes to fruition. Blort. That's it. That's how it ends. Oh, she was smoking hot. She's like a supermodel. Oh, really? How does that end? Blort. Exactly the same. Wow, she's really smart. She had a PhD in Blort. Great. I met her parents. I think this one might be the one, Blort.
Absolutely amazing. I saw Doug live years ago at a local comedy club while the big cough was happening, and seeing him rip through his material with his usual honesty and sharp delivery really made me realize that there are levels to this comedy shit, and that as long as Doug is alive, he's easily one of the best working comedians today, and one of the best of all time. I also saw him recently at my home comedy club in Tampa, and he has not missed a beat since I saw him last. Doug Stanhope's comedy is a resounding fuck yes, and you need to make it a mission to see him live. Similar to other comedians, there's nobody that could replace Doug Stanhope and his level of wit and uniqueness on stage, and I hope for his sake that he's taking care of himself and staying healthy so that he can live a long life being funny and drinking as much as he desires. Long live the alcoholic king of comedy, Doug Stanhope, with a well-deserved number 3 spot on the list. At number 2, we have Louis C.K. Now, Louis C.K. is so good that I could easily rotate him to number 1 given the day. It's neck and neck between him and the number 1 spot. Louis has just been on top of the stand-up comedy game for so long with some of the best comedy specials of all time. His story is incredibly inspiring. Not the story from the New York Times, but the story of how he came up as a comedian. Louis started in Boston, Massachusetts, and it took him around 15 years before he really found his voice and became the household name in comedy we've all come to know and love. Well, everyone except the women he jerked off in front of, I suppose. Some people say Louis is a predator who shouldn't be allowed to do comedy anymore, and to those people, I respectfully disagree, because even though his sexual misconduct was incredibly weird, he didn't do anything illegal, and he actually asked for consent to do the weird shit that he did. Not saying it's right, but comparing him to Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby is just fucking dumb. A few of my favorite comedy specials from Louis C.K. are Chewed Up, Live at the Beacon Theater, Shameless, and Live at the Comedy Store. All of these specials showcase Louis C.K.'s incredibly dark and raw sense of humor, while also demonstrating his striking ability to make you relate to him even when he's unraveling an observation about life that is as dark and as twisted as they come. I've seen Louis live 4 times now, and each time he has brought something completely new to his act. Not just new material, but new perspectives and new angles to commonly observed parts of our day-to-day life and our aging process. I saw him 2 weeks ago, and he's changed his hour a lot from earlier this year when I saw him back in February, and that gap of over 6 months really made me realize just how seriously Louis takes it when he's building a new hour. There's a reason he's one of the most influential comedians of all time, and why he has so many specials and albums that he's basically become this comedy generation's George Carlin, but much, much funnier. I'm gonna show you one of my favorite bits from Louis C.K. to conclude the number 2 spot.
Nice to see you all. It is. It's nice. It's funny to see you all here because I fucked all your mothers. So that's weird. Isn't that a weird coincidence? I fucked all your mothers. And here you are. You're not mad, are you? Did y'all get together because you're mad? They liked it, so don't worry. You shouldn't be mad. You should want your mother to enjoy herself. You ever feel like you're gonna fart and then instead you shit on your father's face? And everybody on the bus is like, hey, that's not appropriate. And you're like, I thought it was gonna be a fart. And they go, oh, all right then.
This is why I love Louis C.K. and why I ranked him as the second best comedian working today. At number 1, we have the greatest living stand-up comedian, in my opinion, Mr. Dave Attell. I have to brag real quick. I've seen Dave Attell, Louis C.K., Doug Stanhope, and Big J. Okerson all in the last 2 weeks. Are you guys jealous of me yet? No. But seriously, where do I begin with Dave? This guy is a fucking machine. I saw Dave Attell at Helium Comedy Club in Atlanta, Georgia, and he had some of the best jokes I've ever heard in my life. Just every line from his prepared material was killing. Also, in between his written jokes, he is making up unique roasts for the audience members in the front row. Literally every single time he talked to them, he had another line ready to go. His timing and delivery are fucking superb. This level of comedy is unreal. I don't think there's a lot of comedians that could replicate the laughs per minute that Dave Attell gets consistently, even during his rougher sets. One thing I noticed about Dave's sets is they're all right around 40 to 45 minutes. A lot of comedians will do an hour usually if they can stretch it out, but Dave keeps his sets on the shorter side, but they're so compact and hard-hitting that you don't even realize the time difference. Dave is just one line after the other, crushing. A lot of comedians say they kill and say they murder, but Dave Attell actually does kill. A lot of times you'll talk to a comedian off stage and they say something else funny, and people will say, wow, they're always on, even when they're not on stage. But Dave really is always on. Even on podcasts, Dave is just so lightning fast with his jabs and zingers, like this clip of Dave on the Two Bears, One Cave podcast.
You know what we're going to call this podcast? Three Beards. Three
We grew
Beards.
beards because of you.
What's that?
We grew beards because of you.
Cool. Well, at least blink when you say it. Are you going to bring an intensity that kind of kills all fun in the room? Because I love that new podcast. Let's get to the heart of it. 3 Confederate generals sitting. Well, go ahead, Longstreet. What do you think?
Dave told a joke this weekend that I've been telling everybody.
Tell it on stage.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead. Make sure I can't tell it again.
Do you know how much I used to...
Fan it up to the point where we see it in 2.5 Men, if it comes back.
If this doesn't show just how fast Dave thinks on his feet, then I don't know what does. I really think Dave is just operating on another frequency. Not to mention his album Skanks for the Memories is one of the best comedy albums of all time, right behind Killing Them Softly by Dave Chappelle. I can glaze Dave Attell all damn video, and I'm going to. No, but really, Dave is also one of the most common influences you will hear a young comedian cite because of everything I've listed today. His writing, delivery, stage presence, improvisation, they're all just top fucking notch, dude. I love Louis. I love Stanhope. I love Shane, but I just think there's nobody operating at the same level that Dave Attell is right now. He's always been this good too. If you watch this tape from his evening at the Improv set when he was young and just getting into comedy, he always had it, even early on.
Guns in high schools. I'll tell you right now, I am frightened for my girlfriend, because, no, in 3 years she's going to high school. I don't know what to tell her, you know, I was on a date with this really hot model. Just play along, all right? And, sex is not that important to me. You know what's important to me? That afterwards part. You know, when you're both naked and it's warm and you're watching the sun come up through the windshield and, yeah. And then there's that special moment. You know that moment when your eyes meet hers and you know she's not gonna press charges? Oh, what a feeling.
I could probably be talked into Louis being number 1 depending on the day and my mood, but the day I made this video, it was Dave Attell. Also, here's a quick story from when I met Dave in Atlanta. I went up and met him with my girlfriend and talked to him for a bit, and then I went back because I wanted him to sign the ticket for me so that I could keep it. And when I went back up to talk to Dave again, my girlfriend went to the bathroom, and Dave said, "You broke up with that girl already?" Just fucking amazing, man. Dave Attell is the best working comedian today, in my opinion, which is why I ranked him number 1. In conclusion, this is my highly biased, probably incorrect list of the top 10 best working comedians on the planet. I know there's probably a bunch of comments of people saying I missed this comedian or that comedian, but as I said, this is just my gay opinion, so please take it with a grain of salt and take it easy on my anus down below, alright? All in all, what did you think of the list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there anyone on the list you would have shuffled around? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel as well, and if you want to see more content, click the link on your screen right now to check out a list of some of my favorite Norm Macdonald moments of all time. A lot of these clips, even the most diehard Norm Macdonald fans haven't seen yet, so give it a watch if you haven't already. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and God bless.